Greetings and welcome to Channel Other Doc. I'm Jim, your friendly Lacuna GM. Hello. Hi, Levi. Hi, I see you. I use he, him pronouns. And this is the 8th development session of our Invisible Sun campaign, The Edge of Paradox. Invisible Sun is a slice of life game. A slice of life game. No. A slice of life game by Monte Cook Games. We are integrating the directed campaign, but most of this game happens spontaneously. We just have, as this is a development mode session, this is a one-on-one thing. This is just about my favorite thing to do in this campaign. Our player today is Anino. Hello.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Anino, and I play Mac the Husk, a itinerant enthusiastic of the Order of the Goetica, who provides a vessel for spirits.
Excellent. And like we do with most games on our channel, we use the X card, the N card, and the O card. So if we hit something that's crossing a line for one of us, either of us can type an X in the Zoom video chat or anywhere else, or make an X symbol, and we'll go back and do something else. If something happens that we're okay having in the game, but we don't want a graphic description of it, we can type an N in the Zoom chat, and we'll fade to black on it, or put it behind a veil, so it'll be there, but we won't go into detail. And finally, if we're exploring a topic or an area of roleplay that's particularly intense for us, but we want to keep going anyway, we can put an O in the chat to let us know we're okay and that we're all good to keep piling on the drama. Something else we can do is put an O with a question mark after it when we're moving into a difficult topic, or we say or we do something and then think, maybe that might have been a bit too much. Then everyone else can respond to that with an X, an N, or an O to let us know if we're still doing okay. Everyone else. Of the two of us, everyone else. So we are we're going to go ahead and dive into some stuff here. We know that Mac has been looking to get to the second degree, and so we want to get in and do that. And everything okay?
My cat is just messing around with a bunch of metal cups.
Oh, okay. Cool. Let me know if you need to leap up. It'll be perfectly fine.
Sure.
So, but is there anything? So do we want to go straight to the to the setting up of that, or was there anything you wanted to take care of in the interim?
I guess the one thing I wanted to discuss was like the combat options, just because I know we haven't really gone over that, but I found that it seems to be very, very specific to the point where I question how useful it actually is. As I mentioned before, you had 3 different types of combat with light, medium, and heavy weapons. And then within those branches, it's close and ranged. And so I don't know, I just feel like given how much it costs to actually purchase a action skill, I think that just describing what my character's goal was, which was to rediscover martial arts, I'm just not really quite sure where all of that would actually fit in.
Yeah, I think that part of this also, I think, has to do with the fact, maybe, and that we kind of play this game a little bit, I think, a little bit differently, or sort of, we have the style that we have for this game doesn't focus very much on combat at all.
Right.
And I mean, it happens, but it's really more of a narrative thing, I think, the way that we do it.
Sure.
So, I think that, let me see, and we're looking at these are specifically the skills that they, this is the skill tree, right? That we're looking at, the core skill
That's right.
thing? Okay. Let me go ahead and head over to that page real quick. I will make a note. I was on page 56. Okay. Let's see, that is statistics and skills. Let me see here. I just want to look at it real quick so that I've got it in front of me. Because I'm trying to think if it's... I I'm imagining that a lot of the skills just in they kind of have them as examples, but I don't know if they say that you
Yeah,
absolutely have to.
I mean, you're free to make up skills
Yeah.
as you go along, but I didn't really want to throw things, you know, out of whack.
Yeah.
Like martial arts, like an individual martial art, it can encompass a lot of things depending on which martial art you choose. So, like, I would argue that um, just knowing like a Filipino martial art, for instance, makes you pretty decent at handling both, light ranged as well as light, um, close and medium close uh, weapons, for instance, um, as well as being able to use that for things like dodging or
Yeah.
self defense. So I just wasn't sure of how I wanted or how we would want to either condense or um, specify the skill in such a way that it encompasses enough, but not um, doesn't end up being too niche, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just looking at I'm back on the page now where they talk about there are 6 weapon skills, um, and I'm looking at it and it's like this is like the one of the few places here where they're getting a little bit. I mean, it's not usually, but they're getting a little bit GURPS-ish uh, with just some of this, where they want to make sure that it's like, okay, light close combat, light range, medium close combat, medium range, heavy close combat, and heavy range. I think that, again, has to do with kind of just, yeah, they're basing it on the, the just there, how far away from the person you are more than anything else.
And what you're using,
Yeah.
essentially. But
So,
like I said, like when you
yeah.
do a martial art, you like Okinawan Kobudo, for instance, um, you can be using anything from sai and nunchucks, which are very very close. But then you also within the system have um, katana and quarterstaff usage, which are more of the uh, heavier uh, weapon systems and such. So um, that's why I felt like, if you're just saying that you're going to pick up a martial arts fighting style of some sort, it just seems kind of odd that you're very limited, I guess, uh, in the scope.
Yeah, so I'm perfectly happy to ignore to ignore this kind of rule in favor of flavor.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, and you've described it very specifically, kind of what these different styles do.
Right.
I and to be honest, when it comes down to sort of me making, going in and we're doing a challenge, and I'm asking, okay, what do you want to throw into this? I'm not going to be sitting here consulting a chart of like how exactly far away are they and what do they need to. So I think that it really needs to come more, it needs to flow more from the narrative, just the way I do things,
Sure.
than necessarily, how many, what zone are you in necessarily.
Right.
Um, so I'd say that if you just want to take a skill that is a particular fighting style or something that houses a number of closely grouped fighting styles,
Okay.
then I think that would be fine.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that would be cool
Oh, yeah.
because I mean, like I said, it's um, okay. So I am going to say that the skill that he wants to learn is Eskrima, I guess, which is the Filipino martial art.
Cool.
One that I have some, maybe a little bit of passing familiarity with.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is that I love that when players are able to bring their knowledge of these things in, it makes the story better.
Sure.
Um, so it's yeah, no, definitely, definitely. Um, yeah, and again, just for this campaign, the way that I tend to run these things, it's yeah, I'm not going to worry about Which of these 6 weapon skills? No, we're not going to do that. That's perfectly
Okay.
fine. That's perfectly fine. Cool. All right. Was there anything else you wanted to get into at this point?
Yeah. So the thing with the invocation of knowledge is that the way it works is you have to basically prepare prepare your character sheet literally for a spirit of level 3 or higher. That lists all of your skills, all of your spells, and all of that stuff to basically prove that you're ready to move up within the order. So, the picking up that, as well as maybe a secret that I wanted to
Okay.
my character to learn. There was one that remember was specific to summoning. Where is it? I read it earlier.
I'm looking at the invocation of knowledge in the way right now, and I see that what the ingredients it needs. It's like basically a scroll written with all the practitioner's major accomplishment, skills, areas of mastery, including the name of every magical practice they know. So it's a list of what you know, then a leaf of pride, 1 hour of preparatory meditation, 5 hours of other preparation, 1 hour performance. And you display your knowledge for all to see. Anyone who's there, anyway. And I think that let me flip back to that page, when you're getting up to 2nd degree, you perform they want you to perform the invocation of knowledge in the presence of a summoned entity of at least level 3. And I don't see. I'm trying to find where it is that you have to. Maybe I should be looking in the. Maybe this is more stuff from the from Goetic summoning, isn't it? Yeah. I think on the one hand it doesn't, but you should be able to do level 3. Are you able to do level 3?
Yes.
Beings? Yeah. Okay. I'm not finding anything here that says that you wouldn't necessarily be prepared at this point. As far as I'm aware.
No, I think I had it. I just wanted to sort of. I just felt like all this time we haven't really talked about what Mac has been doing to increase his skills.
Sure.
And such. So I figured that something worth exploring.
Sure, absolutely. So, what kind of does Mac have like a routine that they go through to sort of as they are improving their skills, or is there a?
Well, one of the things that he was looking to do, like I said, was to practice a martial art. That was one of the things that he wanted to sort of rediscover. That was part of his character arc, actually.
Yeah.
So I think the last development session we did, he was searching for someone to teach him or to train with in those regards. But I don't know if we ever actually settled on someone. I'm just looking at my notes right now.
Yeah, let me go ahead then, and I will. If we want to, we can say that you've been seeking folks out. Would you seek out? And let me ask. Would you seek out someone who's like a Vizsla? Would you seek out just someone who knows the martial art, just regardless of who they are? Would you seek out a spirit? What? Kind of being
so that's an interesting thing. I think he would probably be seeking out another Vizsla or Vizsla to do that.
All right. Okay, let me go ahead then and bring up a couple things here. So I can get this set up here. Let's use that as a base. Yeah, I'll see if I can use that as a base for now. Okay. Pulling up my lists of random things for a moment. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do our favorite thing in the world. I'm going to draw a card.
Of course.
So I can sort of see what manner of Vizsla we're contacting here. I'm not going to sift through canon right now to grab one. We're gonna just find someone who is. We're going to piece one together here. So I've got the fleeting moment. Let me go ahead and open that. Here, there it is. Okay. So the fleeting moment is mysteries card. Meanings are lost time, elusiveness, agility, and reaction, that's good. I feel like we might not actually have had this card before.
Oh, look at me.
Yeah. Yes. Time moves inexorably forward. Sometimes it moves so quickly that we lose track of it. We try to watch, we try to pay attention, and yet it's gone. Mercurially, it slips through our fingers. Time can move so rapidly, in fact, that we can lose time. Look at the clock at 6:22. Look again, seemingly a moment later, and it's 8:05. They say that there was once an hour that came after midnight, but eventually it moved so quickly that it disappeared altogether. If that's true, perhaps it's the fate of all time, and the midnight hour will flit away next. Time is elusive and impossible to hold, no matter how you try. It's a force even the gods fear. In divination, quick and decisive reaction is the advice suggested by this card. The implication is that something is going to happen. It's going to happen soon, and it's going to happen fast. One must be ready. This could be a threat, or it could be a valuable opportunity. Either way, one has to react to it with agility, physical, mental, or both. Or this elusive event will flitter away, leaving only its results behind to show that it ever even happened. Okay. Gotcha. All right. So I feel like this is therefore going to be this is like that you're getting up with I know there's actually a group within the makers that do a certain amount of different kinds of martial arts, okay. But I'm not fluent in them at the moment. But we could say this is someone who's associated with them. They don't even necessarily have to be a maker per se. Would you go with? Well, let me ask. Would you go within more the Church of Illuminism, or would you try to start there, or would you try to
Yeah, I think you would probably go through the Church of Illuminism first.
Okay. I think that they good. Yeah, they have.
I mean the thing with that church is that they there's like literally no information about them, so you can make up as much as you want, really.
So I think what we're going to what you're going to see here. Let's see. So they have again they have a place in Saturnine that kind of, I think in some ways connects. It is said there is a way that they have that connects with the blue. But their immediate, I mean, they go through all manner of different kinds of training because, for different purposes for holding vessels. And so I think some of the idea would be to kind of, as part of the training they would offer, is to sort of work with if you're going in and looking to learn the martial art, they will try to actually get you someone who is fluent in it, and also in a way that will make it work well with the your purpose as a vessel.
Sure.
So it not only involves being able to train yourself in the art, but it also involves being able to use to know what knowledge to use from the spirit that may be riding you at any given point, and how to sort of move that through. And I think these names are unpronounceable. I've just pulled up here. Let me try something else. There we go. Okay. Oh, that looks promising. Okay. Oh yeah, that's very promising. There's a Vizsla named who goes by the name Karanda. She is depending on when in the timeline this has occurred. There may be some degree of there's certain disturbing similarities that she has from time to time to the unforgiving clock, in some ways, because she has kind of an interest. She's had like her eyes have are clock faces, but it's, and she herself sort of describes herself as kind of sometimes she describes herself as like an hourglass, and that's not actually referring to how she looks so much as it's referring to kind of she thinks in terms of like sort of the idea of an hourglass, being able to pick out the individual grains of sand as they fall, to be able to focus and be where you need to be and do what you need to do. That's kind of the sort of flavors a lot of the training. I think. And she's with the Church of Illuminism, so she sort of has an understanding of how to bring up the appropriate sorts of spirits, that kind of thing. Was there anything in particular you wanted to, aside from, was there anything you wanted to cover in particular with your interactions with her as we're setting this up?
Not so much, but he did want to also. I did also want the character to pick up a secret called Lethal Lore. Which says that any attack you make against a single target inflicts +3 damage, and against multiple targets inflicts +1 damage. So, I felt like as an extension of his training, that would have been a secret that he learned.
Cool. Let me see if I can zero in on that one real quick. Is the lore? Yes, here it is. Okay, excellent. The attack you make against multiple targets or an area inflicts +1 damage. Okay, let me see what kind of thing, were the circumstances under which you learn that. It's possible she just teaches it to you, but let me see kind of, so we can sort of say how that happens. And interesting. Okay. I've drawn the questing knight again. Once again, its meanings are justice, journey, determination, achieving goals. Stalwart and focused individual seeking justice, but over the long term. It's interesting. So do you remember that? That evening when you were Batman for a while?
Yes.
I'm trying to remember what it was that you were. Was that caused by your drinking something that was made of pure justice? I'm trying to remember.
Yes, it was. That was when he met the Hunt and he drank with them
Yes.
and Lord Godfrey.
Oh,
Sir Godfrey.
yeah. Yes, right. Okay.
He frightened a bunch of rabbits that were under the age of drinking.
Excellent. Okay. So yeah, I think that so in uncovering this particular secret, it does involve a bit of a journey that you go on, a little bit, to try to find where they make essence of justice, and retrieving some. And I think what I'm going to say, and we don't necessarily have to play this particular portion of it out, since the meat of this is going to be the ceremony, I think.
Right.
But I think that yeah, I think that it's something that might yeah. So I think that there is these let's see, you were as sort of in at that time when you were drinking from that was sort of a section of the green, wasn't it? That was sort of an icy section, but if I'm remembering right.
Yeah, that was a section of the green during the that fair.
The fair, yeah, the World's Fair. Okay. So there is going to be a point at which the there is going to be, and in the animal kingdom, justice is possibly to an extent a moving target, but there is a sort of an essence of a thing beyond that, sort of the basic form of it, and what we interpret that as is justice. And I think that that as part of this, they might send you briefly to go and fetch as water from the spring of justice. And so you would have taken a brief trip to the green to pick that up. Now, the whys and the hows of it, we don't need to get too deep into detail necessarily again, but I think that at a point you met the Warden of the Green Sun, that is Cherulis, who is an androgynous figure of expansive beauty. Sort of claims to be a multitude given singular form, speaking with many voices at once. And you would have essentially, as the green doesn't really have a gate per se, so it's not necessarily difficult to get into or out of. But there is a point when you would hear whispering as you go through this sort of kind of this warm jungle, basically looking for the spring. When they would have whispered to you and asked, what in life is sacred? And what do you think Mac would have responded?
What in life is sacred? I think he would have responded with free will.
Very good. You got the sense, sort of as this voice was carried on the winds moving through, there's this sense of being pleased by that response. And eventually, after a bit of time, perhaps there was a point where you were running from things or chasing things down, either or. But you did eventually find this spring. And there would have been there is a I don't want to say necessarily a cost per se for taking from the spring. It's not something where you're going to lose anything. But there would have been, I think, some kind of exchange. The spring is not exactly, it's not so much guarded as watched over. There are these sort of bat-like creatures, I think, that were sort of in the trees above it. And I think they would have, there's this kind of thing where it's not exactly where they would have, like, they sort of going by. I think they would have, as a means of just kind of seeing how you how do I do that? I think they'd come down. One of them would have sort of had come down and kind of sort of perched on one of those rocks. It's this little you got this sort of rocky face of a kind of a big sort of hill to your side, and the spring comes out of it, and this sort of bat creature, this large bat creature. It's about the size of a small dog. um, sort of come down and perch on the on one of the higher rocks, and would have basically been watching you. Was there anything in particular you want to do in reaction to this creature, or what particular way in which you collected the water from the spring?
So Mac would have collected the water in whatever special container he was charged with. I'm assuming that the hunt or um, whoever gave him this task would have provided the vessel in which he was supposed to carry the water in.
Clay jug.
Yeah, clay jug. And so he would have filled it by just dipping it into the spring, careful not to actually touch the water out of fear of contaminating it.
Okay.
But as he's doing so, he'll just sit up straighter and he'll, without looking at the bat-like creature, just ask, is there a particular reason in which you are spying on me?
Spies conceal themselves, yes.
They do. You were quite tricky.
Why do you take from it?
Because I owed a favor to someone.
Do you wish to be more just, or do you wish to bring out that which is already just?
Don't really quite have memory of who I was before my exile. So I'm unsure of whether or not I do have within me the sense of justice that could be brought out for my purpose.
Helps to know oneself, yes.
Quite.
Very good. Very good. And it will actually, at that point, just sort of, after you collect the water, it's just going to flap and fly up into into one of the higher branches of one of the nearby trees. I just sort of wanted to check it out and see kind of what you were about, really, more than anything else.
Sure.
And you do kind of, you can still sort of hear it as you're turning away, and it will say, just be prepared for that. What you discover may or may not be to your liking.
I suppose that's fair.
Some would say, and this is sort of his voice is sort of still fading as you're continuing to walk away, but it's like, oh yeah, another thing. Some would say that those who do not know this about themselves are more blessed than those who do. It is either very brave or very foolish what you do. Either way, you take action, and this is good.
Well, thank you.
And that pretty much, unless there's anything special you want to do in the green.
No,
That'll,
not particularly.
Okay. The good thing is, you've been to the green. You've actually interacted somewhat with the warden, even if not physically, and so you can go back to the green, whenever you need to, without interacting with the warden again necessarily. And so you picked this up, in this amphorae. And now I am trying to remember what we needed it for, because I am now detached from that part of the of the narrative. Why did they send you after this again?
I am not quite sure.
Okay. I know this has to do with your. I know this has to do with getting the getting what you need to do this. Oh, the secret. The secret.
Oh, the secret. Okay.
That's right. It was in there somewhere. This is the secret of lethal lore. Okay. The secret of really hurting someone. Okay. Yes. So when you bring it back, Karanda has you actually has you pour it on a tablet, and the tablet is what provides you with the secret.
Oh.
It is interesting because as you're doing it, you're remembering, you are regaining a memory from your past that has to do with, and this can be a pre-war memory if you wish.
Okay.
That has to do with a time when you needed to attack something or do something, but you're doing it entirely kind of purely out of a sense of justice. And you can tell me what that is. You don't have to do so right this moment if you do not wish to, but
it's a good question. So, this is what Mac had forgotten, but before he was exiled to the actuality, he was not a goetic. He was actually an apostate, and his forte was channel strength and skill. But it was unclear as to why he was sort of cast into the shadow. But he was not a very quiet person, some would say. But I think whatever memory he has to do, he has probably involves a dark-eyed Manfred. And maybe dark-eyed Manfred was about to deliver a killing blow to someone.
Mm-hmm.
But Mac was able to halt dark-eyed Manfred from delivering it.
Yeah.
And ended up chasing him off because he held him off just as long enough for the authorities to arrive. So.
Okay. Yeah. So a couple of things accompany that, as you're remembering. Manfred, basically, as you recall, is a mercenary, will often act as an assassin. That's not like all he does, but that's a thing. So yeah, you definitely remember doing that. And there's something about the authorities. there are this was before the war, so there's this odd kind of... You're having trouble zeroing in on what the authority figures looked like that showed up. But it kind of feels as though it was not the Tha, which are... These are sort of gold-skinned, white-haired individuals. They wear red coats, black boots. And this is what generally does sort of law enforcement. Now they're kind of self-appointed, but they keep the peace these days. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they come riding in on these floating stone horses that are inanimate, but that's just how they do. They have the ability to inflict pain or pleasure with a touch. But yeah, that it wasn't them. The authorities, their authorities did show up, but it wasn't them. You're not sure who it was. But you do remember at this point there was a target that that Manfred was trying to take out, and you basically managed to save that target. And so that is and you're going to have memory of who that was. I don't have anything immediately, so if you would like, I can come up with something, or if you'd prefer, you can come up with someone. However,
no. You should come up with something, because I feel like it'd be a really good future plot hook or something.
Future plot hook thingy. Okay, no, absolutely. It will be either way, but I just want to. I am happy to spread the narrative on that one. Okay, I will do that. Make a note there. Okay. Oh, actually, wait a minute. I think I know who it was, but I have to go back and look at something.
Cool.
It's somebody you've met. But I will. I have to go back and reconfirm and remember who that is. But so I have to go back and review it. But I think I know who. I have an idea of who it could be. I just need to make sure.
Sure.
All right. Excellent. Good. So you get all of that back as part of this whole process of getting that, and then learning the. Then you can learn the secret. So that is the thing, of course, which upon which you may spend points if you so desire, if you have not done so already.
I did, yes.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Was there anything else we needed to check off before we?
One thing I wanted to confirm, and I did this already, but I used 2 crux to unlock the next level in his forte, which was Spirit of the Orator.
Okay. Spirit of the Orator. Here we go. Spirit of the Orator, it says level 5. The spirit of a renowned orator enters my mind and assists with everything I say. I gain 3 enhancements to my interaction pool. And that is a blue ability. Okay, yeah, so you've got Spirit of the Warrior, and now you got up and you bought Spirit of the Orator. Cool, excellent. Yeah, that's so this means that you have an orator on call now.
Yes. I have so many ideas on how he might use that in roleplay at some point, and I'm looking forward to unleashing that.
Is there a particular way you'd like this orator to be flavored? Who this what kind of a person this is?
I think it's going to be just anyone else who's on hand. I guess. So it's not going to be just one specific
Okay.
orator. It's going to be someone. So he'll have different characters, I guess, who sort of guide him along the way.
So there's like maybe a pool of orators that you draw from, who kind of can answer the call, and we'll sort of see as things happen and as you use them, sort of what sort of direction they kind of lean in.
Sure.
And okay, very cool, very cool. All right, so you picked up Spirit of the Orator. This again. Would have given sort of a connection to there's kind of a sort of like I said, this general pool would come from kind of a there's this group of them. It's like almost a college of oration, one might say.
It's a Toastmasters club.
It's kind of a Toastmasters club, yes. A spiritual Toastmasters club that exists. And, well, more details about that shall be forthcoming. Cool. So, unless you had anything else prior to that, I think we can go to the day of the ceremony.
Yes.
You probably Abernathy has probably been kind of helping coach you a little bit about sort of what the ceremony itself is going to be like. And so it's a closed ceremony because part of it involves revealing your secret soul. So they only want, as I recall, so they they understand there's a need for privacy for this.
Sure.
So it's going to be basically, I think what they can get it down to, since this is just 1 to 2, it's probably just going to be the level 3 spirit and one other goetic is going to be in the room with you. Now, I think you can choose who this goetic is going to be.
Right.
So
back at the party, one of the things that occurred, that party that was crashed by the strip mall.
Yeah.
Yep.
that happened.
Yeah.
Party was attacked by a strip mall.
Yeah, when the endless party was attacked by a strip mall, and Mac saved Charles Abernathy's life, and so he said he agreed that Abernathy would serve as his sponsor, I guess, at his order. Yeah. So he would have chosen that.
Okay. So absolutely, he's pleased at that. He will go ahead and get basically the getting the things set up. The ceremony itself. Let me see if this gives me the where the order of Goetica hangs out. Headquarters, here it is. The Goetic Hall of Records is a large Gothic structure dripping with leering demons, noble angels, and other spiritual beings immortalized in stone. Inside, in addition to the offices of all the high-ranking members of the hierarchy, the building has a huge catalog of member activities, summoned entities, pacts, and more. There are billions of spiritual beings in the actuality, unless their number is infinite, of course, and a great many of them are detailed here. So this is where you're going to go to have this to do this ceremony. This is it's again 1 to 2, so this is not, you don't have to go very high up in the building to get you. Basically they will kind of come in, they check you in, and we'll have you go to a private room where they've got a summoning circle basically permanently already in the floor, set up to do the summons. And the idea, as they kind of go and they lock you in for a number of hours. You've already spent your it's really only 1 hour to do the ceremony. We're going to say you've had prep time. There is a prep room you can go to, a meditation room ahead of time that you kind of hang out in for like 4 hours prior to that. And then coming in, you basically they have this symbol on the floor that's it's a closed symbol, which is works as a summoning circle. And it's you and Abernathy in there, and he will close, and you sort of prepare as you're doing you will do the invocation. This is one of those you're given the opportunity to summon the to summon this being yourself. If not, he is also able to do it. It just requires that it be present when we do this. Now, is it that page? No, that's not the page. Invocation of Knowledge. There it is. It requires a Leaf of Pride, which costs 25 crystal orbs, and the other prep, which we already talked about. So I presume at some point you went out and you bought a Leaf of Pride, or did you go questing for that?
I guess we could say that he found that while he was fetching that clay jug of justice water.
Yes, that actually is easily where you could have gotten that. So I think probably on the tail end of your visit to the Green, there were rather a lot of lions. That had to be dealt with in some fashion.
Sure.
Easily, basically, the main thing is to not do it at lunchtime. I think that's the main thing when going forth and gathering leaves of pride from the Green.
Yes.
That's the biggie. So you went and did that, but the lions will remember this. Okay. So, what manner of being do you wish to conjure up?
Has to be level 3.
Yeah.
That's the limit I can conjure. Kind of wanted to conjure the hunt.
Okay, the hunt is, I think, more like 7. So the hunt themselves, kind of still way up there.
Okay.
Unfortunately. If you would like to invite her to your ceremony separately, we can also do that. It's not really in the rules that you have to summon them. They expect that'll be it, but...
No, I think he's going to test to see how much in the hunt's graces he's in, and he would have invited her to do that.
Okay.
And if she doesn't show up, presumably on time, then he would probably try to summon an angel.
Okay, cool. Excellent. All right. So, we all know what I'm going to do now.
Draw a card.
I'm going to draw a card. Interesting. Okay. We have the Messiah. is the card is the Messiah. This is the Seven of Visions, the Defender of Visions. Its meanings are change, salvation, and familial love. Many fear change, others embrace it eagerly. Often, not always, but often, the former live happy and satisfying situations, while the latter do not. In other words, change is a salvation that not everyone needs. The Messiah is the defender of the Visions family. She defends by changing the things that threaten or menace. As a defender, the Messiah is particularly concerned with families and the bonds of love that exist there. Interesting, okay. In divination, first and foremost, the Messiah portends change. The source of the change is almost certainly external to the person in question. More often than not, this is a positive change, and in fact, the worse things are for the person, the more likely that the change will be positive. The Messiah can indicate the involvement of a beloved family member, like a parent or a sibling. The involvement is not always positive. So, what I want to ask is, when inviting the hunt, is this a thing where you actually go and find her, or do you send her a message?
I think you would have asked Sir Godfrey to relay the message.
Excellent. Okay. You don't necessarily have to give it to me word for word per se, but I'd kind of want to know, what information do you include in the message? What do you want to say to get her to show up?
He would be straight up forthright, because he knows that the hunt does not like foolish people. Definitely not. So I think that his message would thank her for her assistance in setting him on this path that he was looking for, and would appreciate it if she would grace his invocation of knowledge with her presence.
Do you express at all why this ceremony is important to you?
Yes. He'll mention that the ceremony would lead him to advancement within the Goetica and provide him with greater means to be a more effective vessel for spirits.
Okay. All right. So, when you go in there and you kind of sort of are at the start, and you're doing the invocation again is going to take an hour, but you have to have the spirit there first. So you kind of turn on the spirit radio to let them know that you're there, and there will be a as you go in, and Abernathy is kind of sort of closing the door and looking around to kind of set up, and you do this, and you sort of sit down. I'm imagining there's like, you sort of will sit cross-legged in front of the summoning circle in preparation, because you've already done your meditation, but you're like, you're prepping, and this sort of leafy vortex appears in the outside the circle, but it appears in the room, and she comes riding in. I am imagining, and this may differ from the way that I described her originally. Luckily, spirits have the ability to change their appearance if they want. If some of them.
Sure.
So today, she has antlers, and comes and looks sort of. She's covered in fur. She has antlers, and she sits. She sits astride another beast that is sort of constantly shifting, actually, in its appearance. She rides into the room, and Abernathy's jaw drops when this happens. He's like, "Oh, well done. Right. Well, I best get on with it." And he will he'll get the candles lit, and you begin the invocation. Now there's a certain amount of chat. She says not a word. She's just there.
Right.
But you have about an hour of chanting and various and chanting and gestures, and various things go on. Things of an arcane nature go on. And you see here, invocation of knowledge. Part of this ceremony, then, is you will have to step forward and unroll this scroll, which Abernathy will hand to you in a very ceremonial fashion. The scroll that you have brought with your major accomplishment, skills, and areas of mastery. And let me flip back to the page here. Okay. So, what are the highlight? I'm not going to ask you to spontaneously make a speech here necessarily, but can you give us an idea of what's in there?
Oh, what's in there is he'll outline his proficiency in combat, more developed than they were when they first met. He will outline his mastery of game theory, the 4 spells that he does know and use, 3 technically, which is Flesh Mail, Sketch, and Psychic Missive. And then he will mostly focus on his forte skills and his ability to summon spirits to enhance his certes and qualia.
Okay.
He'll also outline that through reading the manual that he picked up from that forbidden library, he does know how to handle mirrors safely.
Okay. Let's see. We actually find the interesting. Yeah. Oh yeah, there it is. There is this sort of the lights of the candles have been changing as this ceremony has gone through, and as you kind of reach the height of it and you finish your document, then Abernathy will say, and that as part of kind of his script here, and thus now you are laid bare. And what is your secret soul?
The blade.
And then he says, thus you are thus you are laid bare, and may step forth, blade, into a new existence. Do you accept your transition to the second degree and all of the responsibilities that that entails?
I do.
Very well. And he will step forward. As you're still, I imagine you're still, he sort of gestures for you to kneel down. Because you're able to stand up while reading the scroll. And he produces from his pocket this a small jewel. And he makes a gesture as he brings it close to your order badge, which you're wearing for this ceremony. And quite suddenly, it is part of it, as though it always was. It's just added to the symbol. He steps back. Arise, Mac the Husk, Mysterion of the Order Goetica.
And he will do so solemnly. Brushing off his clothes a little bit and straightening up as he does so. And he'll acknowledge the hunt in a polite manner to thank her for her assistance today.
She nods to you. And there's a moment of silence. And Abernathy's then, right, who's for lunch? And she turns around and the vortex opens again and she rides back through.
Yeah. Like,
just the two of us then. Very good.
Yeah. So.
Right, well, the dining hall awaits.
It's one other thing is that one of the abilities that comes with being a second order is the ability to summon a familiar now.
Yes. This is a thing. Yeah, some want to do it immediately, and so there are facilities to aid with that in the building if you so desire. But if you want to hang on, you can hang on and do it basically at your leisure. Either
you'll do so after lunch, I think.
Okay. Yes. Lunch is very important. Lunch is very important to this setting.
It is. We have proper meals, and we observe all of
that's right.
all of the social graces of that.
That's important. But yes, so you. Am I going to draw a card just to see what you have for lunch? Probably.
Yes.
I think it's important. I got the alchemist.
That's a liquid lunch today.
There's probably a certain amount of liquid involved. Complexity, transformation, knowledge. So it's yeah. So you feast on the pudding of complexity. He says, making a note to add to the cookbook.
I don't know how quite to describe this.
It's very detailed. There are so many layers to this pudding.
There's so many layers to this pudding.
It's like
One could eat this for months.
It's like it's a vegetable pudding, and then it at some point transitions into a meat pudding, and then eventually it's like it could be a dessert type pudding. It's hard to know.
It's all encompassing.
Yes, that's right. Now, if the next card I draw is the dangerous elixir, that means that somehow this pudding is the ultimate transformation. So that's going to be very important as well to note. So lunch takes a little while. It's a long, leisurely lunch, full of complexity. You're there in the dining hall of the Order of Goetica in the Hall of Records, and it's very there are a lot of folks around, sort of also here discussing philosophy and all sorts of manner of things of that nature. Why things should and should not be in art as well. Things like that. So it's a fairly heady thing. And so after this complex lunch, are you going to go forth to summon a familiar?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. I'm just going to check this out real quick. Oh, yeah. So, what realm are you summoning this spirit from? And what kind of spirit are you looking for?
He will summon from the green.
Okay.
Just because he seems to have a lot of ties to that right now.
Absolutely.
But he's going to leave it open to whoever decides that they want to answer that call.
I mean, narratively speaking, I feel as though the appropriate thing is that the bat shows up.
Yeah, whatever you want.
And that was a real creature, but at the same time, let me see here. It usually spends about 3 to 4 hours a day with us. During that time, it doesn't leave our side. It's always whispering in our ear. When it is not with us, it returns to our own realm and its own life. We can have only one familiar at a time. Should our familiar ever die, we suffer one scourge and all qualia pulls for a week and gain one despair, and then we can summon a new one. Okay. Well, I'm going to draw a card, actually. Just to provide a little bit more information than I'm thinking about bats again. Okay, so it is not the elixir, just so you're aware. It is the doctor, the nemesis of visions. Which again means wisdom, health, dependence upon others, disease. Doctor's help, but it's a help we'd rather not need. No one wants to see a doctor. We only see them if something's gone frighteningly wrong. They have knowledge, perhaps secret knowledge, and an insight few can match, but these are secrets about disease and death. Can one delve so deeply into such topics and not come out affected? The doctor is the nemesis of the visions family. The enigmatic, genderless figure is a harbinger of illness and plague. But the possibility of the possibility of succor, even remedy from There's the possibility of succor, even remedy from the disease they foretell. There is an inherent contradiction to the doctor, then. They are the hero that we really do not want. Okay. So I'm feeling this is probably actually going to be a raven.
Oh boy.
Which, oh well. Yeah, the raven in and of itself is a card. So we do a quick check in here. That's right, the raven is also kind of a specific thing in Invisible Sun 2. Okay, I think we're probably okay. But I just want to make sure. I just have to do a freaking check on... on the raven whenever it shows up, just because there's a thing. Okay. Yeah. No, we can go with that. This is not the raven with a ridiculous number of eyes kind of that shows up on the card. This is just like more like just looks more like a regular raven. Doesn't appear to have a flaming head that the raven on the card, the raven does. But you basically go into the into this room again. That looks similar to the room you were in for the ceremony. It's a room prepped for summoning. And you call forth your familiar, and see this raven will flap forward and it will land on your shoulder.
Huh. Yeah, I never really saw myself as much of a bird person.
One rarely sees oneself.
Suppose that's true. Do you have a name?
I would be honored if you would provide me with one.
Oh. That's certainly different. The good raven name. Suppose we'll just call you Sagan.
It nods. Sagan, is this S-A-G-A-N or is...
S-A-G-A-N, yes.
Okay. You know, there are millions and millions of planets out there. No. It will, it will nod. Very good. You seem... You have an interesting struggle, and I find that fascinating.
I do?
Oh, yes. The past and the future.
Well, I suppose that's true. I don't have very many particularly close friends at the moment. Seems that you have found me in a position where I am trying to rebuild a life for myself.
I hope I can be of help.
I suppose we shall find out. I am currently working on a small project, which I am looking for a looking glass.
Interesting. A potentially dangerous project, then, given what is said of mirrors.
True, but I recently came across a book that outlines instructions on how to properly handle them.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. That sounds interesting. I wonder... I wonder at this. There are some who have said that they know this, but do they truly? It is a good question. May I ask, if perhaps this is too personal a question, then I will. I was just wondering if you perish as a result of this, may I have one of your eyes?
That seems like a very odd request. But assuming I am not revived within a reasonable amount of time after my passing, then I suppose that's fair.
Thank you so much. It is much appreciated. Very good. I think we shall get along quite well.
So Mac is just going to chuckle, albeit a little uneasily about the idea of giving up such a thing. But yeah, and well, I suppose that's all we really need. I just wanted to meet your acquaintance, and you are, of course,
sharpening its beak real quick.
Yeah, you're of course allowed to appear when it is your inclination to do so, though if I do need your assistance, I will in fact call upon you.
Of course, yes. It's good to feel useful.
Have you been a familiar to another Goetica before?
No, they wouldn't listen.
Oh. Well then.
They all thought for some reason I was too gloomy. I don't understand why. Death is inevitable, but one needn't look on it as anything to be particularly fearing, and it's just part of your natural life.
I mean, it is inevitable, and well, it's not like you have to stay in the Pale forever.
Exactly. It's a transition. It's a transition. They for some reason they don't like it when I bring that up. Oh, well.
Well, at any rate, I suppose we will cross those bridges when it comes to that. But my business here at the Hall of Records is done. I suppose we should go for a walk.
Very good. So, you will make your way out of the Hall of Records. You will head out with your new companion, Sagan.
Yeah.
And is there anything else you would like to sort out for this evening?
No, I think that about covers it.
Cool, awesome, excellent. This is going to be fun.
You get to be a raven.
Yes. I
I was
can't
getting
wait.
I was a little bit jealous that Vor has a pet. And I'm like,
I
oh,
know.
well, I, I'm a goetic. I should have one
You
too.
should. You absolutely should. And I think this is going to be quite good. This is slowly, basically, everyone will have a pet soon. Uh,
I mean, it's no murder spirit, but
it's true, but one can. I mean, he's just got the thing about that. The thing about that pet is that it's a little of that one goes a long way.
it is.
This is true. This is true. Well,
I think
folks,
another session I wanted to probably work on or just see what happens is if Mac asks Karen if he can move into one of the houses. I just want to see what happens there.
I think that'll be excellent. But I think for now we're good. So we're gonna go ahead and I guess we'll go ahead and do our outros here. So feel free to tell folks where they can find you and any final thoughts you have about the session.
Sure. Let's see. My name's Anino. You can find me on Twitter @Anino Gaming, and my schedule is on my little landing page / website. Next thing up for me is tomorrow. I'll be on the Welcome to RPG Twitch channel for the second installment of On Prosperous Winds, a homebrew done up by Ren Knowles, a local person who is very much into the LARP scene and such. So stay tuned for that. I'm playing a ranger by the name of Broruck, who is a half-orc, and he's basically the straight man to a zany group of more diminutive party members, all of which who range from 2 feet tall to 4 feet tall. So you can imagine it gets pretty silly so far. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun because it's a new continent, and so it's a lot of adventure and exploration going on.
Nice. Yeah, I've seen Ren GM. They're very good.
Yeah,
so that's very cool. All right. Anything else you wanted to mention this one?
No, I think that's it.
All right. As for me, I'm Jim Ryan. You can find me at OtherDoc on both Twitch and Twitter. My website is jimyesthatjim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. I've got links down below to my website, Twitter, and YouTube channel. And also, I need to very soon down there put a link to my itch.io account, because they've got a game on there that's free if folks want to check that out. That's at itch.io/otherdoc. The game is called, is still kind of a thing in progress, which is part of the reason why it's free. But it's called Hidden Qualities. It's about working with people in space. Sort of a story game there about sharing secrets and emotions and that kind of thing. On this, let's see, what am I doing? So on Saturdays we have Invisible Sun here. The regular game goes on with the group Saturday evenings. This coming Saturday also, I'm going to be participating in Off the Table's Otterthon. I'm going to be running Don't Rest Your Head around the middle of the day. And as a one shot, I think it's going to be fun. We've started working on characters for it, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. We're going to take another group through the Mad City. I've been dying to introduce that game to the Off the Table folks for quite some time, and so I think it's going to be really cool. That's, I think, going to be at 6:30 Eastern time. And so we're basically... Is that 6:30 Eastern Time? I can't remember. No, 3:30 Eastern Time. Yes, I will double check, but I believe it's at 3:30 Eastern Time. I remember we're going to finish it around 6:30 Eastern Time, and then I'm going to be hopping over here to run Invisible Sun on Saturday. And Monday nights, I'm running Deadlands over on Tales from the Grim. We are coming to a climax with this part of the campaign, so I think it's going to be very interesting. A lot of secrets are getting revealed. Things are getting tense. A lot of character drama, and so I'm looking forward to seeing that continue unfurling. Coming soon, it's going to be in a little over a week. We're going to have the premiere, or rather the session 0 for our campaign of masks that we're going to have here on the channel. That is being run by Mole. We've been putting together these characters that are basically young superheroes, and that's going on. And then also in late January, we have the premiere of our Dark Matter campaign, Ghosts of Saltmaw. Do you remember when that starts? That's going to be on Sunday nights.
Sunday nights, and we'll start at 7 p.m.
Yeah, okay. And that's going to be... how soon is that starting again? Do you remember? That's going to be in...
it's the 27th. 26th.
26th. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure I remember. Yeah, okay. I grabbed the calendar there. So yeah, starting on the 26th, we will have that starting up. And so I'm really looking forward to that. We're all getting very excited about setting our characters up for that. I got to get my character backstory in and sort it out finally. January 26th. Excellent. Also, is when we're getting that started, so very much looking forward to that too. In the meantime, also very soon now, within the next few days, hopefully I'm going to be opening up sign-ups for things coming up in February. We're going to have a mini campaign of Apocalypse World that I'm going to be running. I'm also going to be running one-shots starting again in February, and that's going to start with Fall of Magic. And so look for those sign-ups soon. Again, you can go to jimyesthatjim.com and click on Game Sign Up, or you can just come to this page, my Twitch page, click on RPG Sign Up down below. It'll get you there. As always, beginners are welcome. So let's see, when we hit the end card, I think I'm going to send a raid over to... I'll go ahead and raid off the table. They've got Alas for the Awful Sea going. And that is a very dramatic game that they've had going. Alas for the Awful Sea just draws in the drama.
Oh, it does. And off the table, I haven't seen anybody do drama as good as Off the Table has.
You're so good. I swear. Absolutely.
It's like they're tortured souls living out their inner demons.
I know. That's strange.
It's crazy.
How is that happening?
How does that happen?
I don't know. It's a miracle. Or possibly the opposite of a miracle, because there's a lot of torture involved, but it's so good. It's so good. So we're going to go ahead and say hi to them. Feel free to hang on and say hi to them with us if you are so inclined. Again, that is when we hit the end card. In the meantime, folks, take care, and I will see you all of a sudden. Farewell.